Wideroe is a strange airline. Norway's regional airline, they connect to some of the most remote corners of the country, as well as more popular domestic and international routes. They predominantly fly the Dash 8. In fact, they are the only operator of the Dash 8 that flies every single type. As for what it's like to fly, well, it's complicated and inconsistent. The short answer to every question is, it depends. How do you book a ticket? It depends. What's the boarding process? It depends. Do you even get a reserved seat? It depends. What's the onboard service like? It depends. What do I mean? Well, let's find out on these 3 Widerøe flights from Oslo to Leknes to Bodo to Bergen. My first Widerøe ticket was purchased through SAS. I had booked a flight from Svalbard to Tromsø on SAS, then connecting on to Widerøe to Bodo and Leknes. Something got moved or cancelled somewhere, so I had to fly all the way back down to Oslo with an overnight layover and then flying all the way back up to the Lofoten. Yeah, that's incredibly inefficient. That's all SAS could book me on. Of course, you could also book Widerøe directly through their site. Do note that sometimes they pull inventory from Google Flights for some reason. Booking directly through Widerøe, you can also get mixed tickets, including legs on either SAS or Norwegian. Speaking of Norwegian, the day I was scheduled to fly them, Widerøe announced that they were being bought by Norwegian. That's quite the odd pairing for sure. We'll talk about Norwegian in the next video, but it's entirely possible that these mixed tickets with SAS may soon no longer be available. If you book through Widerøe, there are 4 fare classes: Mini, Smart, Flex, and Full Flex. Mini and Smart are the cheaper ones with only a personal item or a personal item carry-on and check bag, respectively. But all cabin baggage combined must be under 8 kilograms, and the sizer is rather aggressive, so chances are you'll be checking a bag regardless. Widerøe used to sell an all-you-can-fly pass aimed at tourists to encourage people to visit outside of just Oslo and Bergen, but it was sadly discontinued a few years ago. So, let's start things off on the Dash 8 100, the smallest version of the Dash 8, on a flight from Oslo to Leknes. I arrived 2 hours before my flight and went to go drop off my bag. What a disaster! There was only one agent working the Widerøe desk handling multiple flights, and the belt would routinely stop for upwards of 10 minutes. It took over an hour to simply check my suitcase. The Widerøe gates are in a satellite terminal. Boarding was done by zone, where groups A and B were called first. We walked out to the aircraft. I gotta say, the 100 is pretty darn cute. It also has open seating just like Southwest. There's a group of 4 seats with 2 rear-facing seats and a row of 5 seats in the very back. Both of the 100 and 200 only have 39 seats. The engines fired up and the safety demonstration was done in Norwegian, with a few highlights in English at the end. Flying time to Leknes was 2 hours and 5 minutes at 25,000 feet. There's a single flight attendant, and there's buy on board offerings. Prices were fairly reasonable for Norway. I noticed that there was no window shade. What, is this Delta Airlines now? There was thick cloud cover for much of the trip, but we did get a great view of the mountains and fjords of the Norwegian coast. Around Bodo, we headed out to sea, before arriving at the magical Lofoten Islands, and we landed in Leknes, seemingly right in the middle of town. Leknes Airport is absolutely tiny, and baggage claim was as simple as can be. The Lofoten Islands are simply awesome. If you are in Norway, go there. Trust me. I arrived back at the Leknes Airport about an hour before my flight. While there are the occasional direct flights to Oslo and Bergen, the vast majority of flights require a connection in Bodo. In fact, today, Bodo was the only destination on offer. There was nobody home at security or check-in an hour before, but they all eventually showed up. Our inbound flight was delayed by about 9 minutes, and turnaround was only scheduled to be 20 minutes. Perhaps in an effort to get everyone on board as fast as possible, there was no zone boarding, and everyone just rushed out to the aircraft all at once. We started taxiing only 3 minutes late. Flying time to Bodo was just 18 minutes at 6,900 feet. Even though the flight was less than 20 minutes, the flight attendant still went through the cabin with buy on board. Wow, that's dedication. And I don't want to hear short flight as an excuse for lack of a service ever again. She also handed out a small chocolate themed for Pride Month. If you ever wonder where your farm-raised Norwegian salmon comes from, it's fish farms just like these. Bodo was once home to the largest Norwegian Air Force base with 2 squadrons of F-16s. But with the move to the F-35, the base was closed. Still, all the hardened structures remain. I only had a 40-minute connection on paper, down to 35 minutes now, but fortunately it was just the next gate over, and the Q400 pulled in. You could see the difference in shape and size of the fuselage. Boarding time came and went with no announcements, and not even anybody at the gate. Boarding finally started, and began with families with small children and Group A. That is the third way of boarding if you're keeping track here. Again, I was in Group B, but the Q400 allows you to reserve your seat, which is included in the smart fare. All of the 78 seats are forward-facing. There's even window shades, such luxury! Seat width and legroom were still quite fine.
The demonstration would only be given during the Norwegian announcement.
Flying time to Bergen was an hour 40 at 26,000 feet. The Q400 doesn't have Wi-Fi per se, but there's a streaming portal with 5 movies, a moving map that didn't work, and a flight info that didn't work. Fortunately, the scenery more than made up for the entertainment until we hit cloud cover around Bergen. We walked out in the light rain, but unfortunately for whatever reason, check bags took 35 minutes to arrive, which was quite aggravating. So Wideroe, it's a great quirky little airline. I like it. Is it luxurious or even on time? No. But it gets you to some pretty remote places in Norway, and they have the reputation of being dependable. The saying is that Norwegian will cancel your flight first, then SAS. But you should only ever be worried about the weather if the Wideroe pilots think it's too dangerous to fly. I could hear them landing when the weather was like this. The experience internationally or on their 3 Embraer 190-E2 jets may be different, but it's definitely a fun way of getting to the remote parts of Norway. Well, I've got 2 days here in Bergen before it's time to review Wideroe's soon-to-be new owners, Norwegian, so click here to see that. Or you can check out another Q400 review of Porter Airlines here, or here to see the full playlist. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.